Hello and welcome to this segment on self-talk. Now, this is the second segment that focuses primarily on that perform-respond phase of the performance cycle. So, what is self-talk? Well, self-talk is essentially your internal dialogue, and it's promoted in a way to help you enhance your overall performance. It essentially refers to the statements that individuals will address to themselves for a specific purpose, such as increasing motivation or enhancing skill execution, okay? Research has shown that self-talk is really effective at boosting confidence, boosting motivation, boosting productivity, and even helping to regulate or self-regulate overly emotionally reactive states, okay? And this is in conjunction with the implementation of that mindful living and mindful practice as we become more self-aware of where we are in the moment. Now, there are generally three reasons why we engage in self-talk, and that is to instruct, to motivate, and self-evaluate. Now, there are four types of self-talk I typically like to introduce within my work, and they are negative self-talk, positive self-talk, motivational self-talk, and instructional self-talk. Now, motivational self-talk can be self-defeating in nature. It can diminish performance through increasing anxiety. And as we are locked into performance, well, the increase of that anxiety and these other sensations is what we don't want, especially as it moves us further away from our optimal zone of functioning. Now, positive self-talk encompasses more positive affirmations and can be self-compassionate in nature. Motivational self-talk is that type of self-talk that helps to boost confidence, okay? It can also boost effort that one puts into performance, and essentially helps to regulate that energy expenditure through creating a more positive mood. And then lastly, instructional self-talk is designed to both facilitate and enhance performance by triggering desired movement through correct attentional focus, through correct engagement of technique, and engagement of strategy execution, okay? Now, simply put, the two most useful and effective forms of self-talk are both motivational and instructional due to that confidence boosting and attentional focus. The two least effective and useful forms of self-talk are positive self-talk and negative self-talk. This is because positive self-talk is typically used in an effort to combat negative performance diminishing self-talk. Well, when we're locked in this battle cognitively of combating negative self-talk with that positive self-talk, what it's doing is taking our attention and focus away from the task at hand and those task-relevant actions and cues that are necessary to perform and remain in our optimal zone of functioning. Okay, so just remember that we want to be more in that motivational, instructional, or implement that more motivational and instructional type of self-talk as a performance enhancer. Now, research shows us that instructional self-talk of all four types is the most useful and effective type of self-talk, and I'm going to get into why. So why is instructional self-talk so important? Well, again, it's because of those instructional cues that it's providing to us in the moment, which are directing our attention and focus in the right place for that optimal performance, right? It keeps us in our optimal zone of natural functioning, and so we are less worried about these sensations here taking off as a result of those competing thoughts, that catastrophic thinking, and those unproductive, unhealthy patterns of engaging thoughts that we get locked into in the midst of performance due to past experiences, okay? Now, as we go through training to be whatever the nature of our work is, we learn how to do things and we learn how to perform functions and skills really, really well. Well, over time, as we are in these are seeking to perform these skills in chaotic environments, again, our thinking patterns start to get in the way, and we start to stuff down what we already know. And so instructional self-talk helps to bring those things that we have been trained on and those skills back into our conscious, above those unproductive and unhealthy thoughts and feelings as we seek to fight them or judge them in some sort of way. And it keeps our focus where it needs to be. Okay, so here's why instructional self-talk is so important and so effective. It allows for appropriate performance response. So how do we develop our self-talk habit? Well, one of the first ways that we develop this habit, and again, we want to make these concepts habit so that they are our go-to in the most chaotic of environments and times. One of the first ways we can start to develop this habit is through visualization. And you're going to be visualizing two things. You're going to first be visualizing what you want to be telling yourself. Secondly, you're going to visualize where you're going to implement this concept or skill into your performance. As you visualize these two things, you're priming your mind to automatically go there when things get stressful and chaotic. Secondly, you want to use you statements versus I statements. This is important because you're taking this perspective of instructing yourself from an outsider view on what you need to do. Lastly, you want to develop a self-talk habit routine, and it encompasses a few additional steps. One, you want to identify what you want to achieve. Secondly, you want to match your self-talk to what your needs for that performance are. You want to thirdly practice this self-talk and these cues consistently. This ties into that cue word utilization that you develop that I talked about in the previous segment. Then you want to ascertain which cues work best for you. Lastly, you want to develop self-talk plans and practice these plans to perfection, okay? So here's how you develop that self-talk habit in a way that helps to maximize the effectiveness of this skill for you in the present moment. So here's self-talk. Think about where you can implement this skill into your life daily, intentionally, and consistently so that you can flush out something that is specific and meaningful to you. Okay, let's dig in.